It's getting darker outside, and so are getting the books that I read. For today's video, I want to recommend you the perfect moody fall reads. So hello my fellow fantasy book lovers and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi and welcome. My name is Kathy and I'm a fantasy book lover from Belgium. For today's video, I compiled a list of my favorite fall darker reads. I know we're getting into winter, so these are some moody reads that I really enjoy, either the scene setting or the atmosphere of the book, and I tried to not just have vampire books, so let's go along with the list. Now I have to start this list with my favorite book of these past few years. It has quickly become my favorite trilogy. It is of course the Empire of the Vampire series by Kristoff. They are chunks of books, but believe me, they are worth every single page. And in this world building, there is a day's dead. So the day is dead. There is no more sunlight, no more daylight. All you have is this perpetual gloom and doom. Now, the world hasn't always been like this. Something has happened over the years in the book. And because this book is written in an interview style, so our main character, Gabriel de Leon, is being interviewed by someone else who has captured him, so he's retelling his life story. So at certain points of the story, we go back to before Day's Dead, and there is some hope, and book 3 is called Empire of the Dawn. They are currently on my shelves. I am nearly at the end of Empire of the Dawn, and I'm so beyond impressed on how good this series is that I have to recommend it to you. So if you're into vampires, if you want epic world building, if you want to feel all the feelings, because it is written by a man, but the romance and the smut in these books is very good when it happens. It doesn't happen a lot. The fights are interesting enough that even I, who hates battles and fights in books, can keep reading it. And I'm convinced that this series is going to be my absolute favorite for years to come. Another series that I feel captures that gloomy vibe really well is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. Now this series is set in a more dystopian world, but still it gives me that a little bit cyberpunk feeling when reading it. And in this world building or in these stories, people, or some people at least, have not magical abilities, but like mind abilities. And the main character that we are following is called Paige Mahoney, and she has a particular ability that isn't found a lot, and everyone who has these abilities is actually taken from society, seen as an outsider because they have these abilities. And this series is, at the moment of recording this video, I don't think completed, because I have 5 books and then the prequel, but I think there's going to be more. I think there's going to be 7 books in total, and I have read book 1, 2 and 3, but because the revised editions after 10 years of writing book 1 have just come out, so I will be rereading them soon as well. But the vibes that I got from this book are really like a little bit dystopian, a little bit like futuristic cyberpunk vibes, and then of course with supernatural elements. So I really enjoy it and I can highly recommend it to you. And then we have something completely different. The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is the first book in the series, and this is if Sherlock Holmes meets fantasy. That is the basic idea about the series, but the main characters, there's 2 main characters. One is a female main detective, we're gonna call her. She's extremely smart. She has a lot of special abilities, because in this world building, people are modified, are augmented, are given abilities that they maybe shouldn't have when they're born. They are added to this person. So the female main character is a little bit older. She's very intelligent. She has this like very settled down vibe to her, like she's smarter than everyone else. She finds the patterns that no one else can. And then the person from whose point of view the book is written is actually her assistant. So we follow everything through the eyes of this assistant, who's also got augmented in different ways, and is actually like her run boy. So the female main character almost never leaves her home or wherever she's working from, and he's running all over the place and capturing everything. So he works with scent vials to register it into his mind. Yeah, it's very nicely written, it's very intriguing, and I really enjoyed the world building in this book. There is, of course, more going on than just the Sherlock Holmes vibes. This is definitely an epic fantasy world with leviathans, with threats to the realm, with like some sort of war going on, but not within the worlds, more with the leviathans attacking them. So it's humans versus leviathans, more or less. Now, there is a second book, and I felt like the first book was extremely well done, but in the second one, I've kind of lost interest. So I can recommend you the first one, and if you're really into it, then you can of course continue with the second. But if after this one you're like, I've had my dose of murder mystery, then you can just leave it at that as well. The next book on my list has an entirely different vibe. It is Rewitched. Now, in this book, we follow a girl who's turning 30, who is a witch and who has some sort of magical abilities. But what she doesn't know is that at age 30, she has to prove herself that she is worthy of keeping her magical powers. And that's what this book talks about. She has to go through this trial, something happens, she needs to prove herself. And this is really a book about finding yourself as a person, and as someone who's 33 years old, this really resonated with me, of becoming true to yourself again, about the sacrifices that we sometimes make in life and whether they're worth it or not. So this is more a cozy fantasy witchy vibe, but with family, with found family, and with magic, of course. I really enjoyed this book. It's not for everyone, so if you're more into like epic high fantasy, you might not like this, but if you enjoy the occasional light read, I could highly recommend it. Up next on my list is another vampire-themed book, and this is actually a complete series. It is the Vampyria series by Victor Dixen. Now, book 1 is called The Court of Shadows, the second one is called The Court of Miracles, and then the third one is called The Court of Storms, and then there's 3 other books in a second series that are all part of the Vampyria world building. Now, this is a French author, and not all books have been translated into English yet. And also, this is a YA series, so you may or may not like this when you're reading it, but I found, because it is set in France, because it has this Louis XIV world building, that I personally really liked it. So book 1 and 2 have been translated into English. They are also, of course, in French. They are available in Dutch, and there's also a few other languages, I think German and Polish. The main thing that I really enjoyed about this is the French world building, the fact that you have castles, aristocrats, and everything happening in kind of a underground feeling as well. The vampires are part of society, they are even the high society, and I found the way that everything was written really, really intriguing. So if you're into court politics, if you like vampires, if you're into a little bit of like cruel situations, political situations, then this might really be for you. Now, do note that the main character is younger, and I don't believe this book had smut. So I just want to be completely clear about it. I don't think they had. There is some sort of romance happening in book 2 or at the end of book 1 and then going over in book 2, but it's not like on-page smut. And then, of course, I need to recommend you something with a lot of smut in it as well. And there we have Phantasma and Enchantra. Now, I have only read Phantasma because it was the first book that I got on my radar. Enchantra follows on Phantasma, and what we have is the setup with 2 sisters. In book 1, we follow the oldest sister. Their mother dies, and through some sort of magical way, the firstborn has to do a ritual to get the magical powers of the mother. So she does that, she inherits the magic, and a lot of things are going wrong. There is a loan on the house or a mortgage on the house that they need to pay. And there is this big game, which is called Phantasma, that has come to their city where they can participate. And if you win, you basically win at life. You can win anything you want. But if you lose, you get thrown out of Phantasma, or you even die in Phantasma. It depends. Now, the main reason that the older sister goes into Phantasma is not just the financial worries, it's because she thinks her youngest sister is actually in Phantasma to solve this situation. So she goes into the game not knowing if her sister is there. Everyone is separated into groups. Now, do note that the horror vibes and the gore vibes are very present in this book. So if that's not for you, I would not read this. There is some sort of romance going on, there is smut going on, there's a little bit of everything. So this is definitely dark fantasy romance if you gotta label it somehow. And if that's something that you might enjoy, then feel free to pick up this book. And then to end this video, I want to talk about Servant of Earth by Sarah Hawley. Now, this series is set in a world where the Fae are co-living with humans, but they're kind of separate worlds that merge at certain times. So in book 1, we follow as there is going to be another choosing of women that have to go from the human world into the Fae world. Now, the human girl that we follow is very poor, as in extremely poor. She goes into the bog that is kind of the separation between the human world and the Fae world, and she goes in there in the waters to fish for items, to find items that she can then sell and like get money from to live. So she's like the poorest of the poor. She has a few friends in the village, but she's still seen as kind of an outsider because something that happened with her family in the past. But when the girls are chosen to go into this Fae realm, one of her best friends is chosen and she decides to follow them even if she's not allowed. And then the main part of the story happens. Now, Fae in this world are not all beautiful, gorgeous, romantic creatures. No, there is a lot of tone variations within Fae. Some are cruel, some are nice, but they're all a little bit like, I'm not gonna say treacherous, but mischievous is more the thing that I want to call it. So you have to always be careful when you make an alliance with them, when you give them your word, etc. So that is the basic Fae setup in this book. And I really enjoyed book 1. I already have book 2 that I am going to read. I have it physically. So if you're into Fae realms and a strong main character that really stands up for herself, then this is a very good read for you. So these were a few of my book recommendations for these darker fall nights. I hope there's something in here that you might enjoy, so feel free to let me know in a comment down below with which of these books would you like to curl up in the sofa. And of course, if you have any other recommendations for me that fall within this theme, feel free to let me know in a comment as well. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a big thumbs up, and if you haven't already and you'd like to be, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I aim to make weekly videos and would love to have you for every single one of them. Thank you so much for watching and happy reading. Bye!